I'm joined by Robert Stevens, the Chairman and CEO of Lockheed Martin. Thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Let me start big picture with you and defense spending. We've got a change in power in Congress. The conventional wisdom is Republicans taking control of the House, good for defense contractors. Do you subscribe to that conventional wisdom?
Well, I think we've known for some time that we're facing a new reality as we see global security challenges expanding, and yet the resources that will be available to meet those challenges are going to be increasingly constrained. We've watched the Department of Defense, I think, embrace that new reality by looking to secure a 1% real growth in the top line of the defense budget, but also embracing a $100 billion cost reduction initiative over the next 5 years so that we can sustain force structure and recapitalization. In our business, we've taken a number of initiatives to include internal consolidations and repositioning lines of business, some divestitures, a voluntary separation program, and so forth, to lean ourselves out and prepare for the new reality. As we work with the Congress over a number of years now, both Republicans and Democrats take the requirement to provide for the nation's security very seriously. I think we'll wait to see the new Congress seated and see how the priorities might unfold. But I think there's always been a seriousness of purpose about assuring we not only invest security, but we get good value for that investment.
You know, there are a lot of people out there, investors, analysts, who say that new reality could perhaps be even tougher for contractors like Lockheed Martin. Even though this is a new Republican-controlled House of Representatives, a big push on cutting spending across the board. Could we actually see defense cuts, and are you all prepared for that?
Well, I think there'll be pressure on defense cuts, but I think there are ways to get better value out of the financial resources that are available for defense. And that's why we're very focused on leaning out our company and giving the taxpayer and the Department of Defense very good value for a dollar that is spent.
All right, let me ask you about some specific programs because they've been in the news. And again, you're the nation's biggest defense contractor. The Littoral Combat Ship, this is a big contract to you all. You're in competition with Austal to try and deliver that product. Today we heard that the Navy is considering a change here, perhaps allowing each of you to build 10 of these ships before deciding ultimately whether or not to pick a single contractor. Do you support this potential change in this contract? What will it mean for Lockheed Martin?
Yeah, I do support it. I think it's a very creative approach that's been brought to us by Navy leadership. Of course, we have been competing, and the Navy is in a position to continue a down select decision probably before mid-December and move to a single design for the ship. So they're protecting that option. But I think in a very creative way, they're exploring the prospect of having both ship providers engage in a block buy for 10 ships that has a number of advantages. It will lower the total cost of the buy. It will move assets into operational service earlier. It'll provide real stability into the industrial base that gives us the confidence to make better investments, to focus on quality and performance, to have a highly trained and professional workforce in place to deliver these capabilities. So it lowers the risk and has the prospect of improving the quality and giving taxpayers, again, real return for their investment in the recapitalization of the Navy, which is urgently needed.
Do you expect ultimately the Congress will sign off on this new approach?
I don't know that they will, but I hope that they'll consider it, and I think the early response, to the extent that I have seen it, has been favorable. At least, again, on an investigatory sense, that it is a unique approach to trying to get better value and achieve the objectives that we all share.
Let me ask you about the other big high-profile program, the Joint Strike Fighter. We talked at the Joint Strike Fighter plant down in Fort Worth. This is a program, single biggest program in the Pentagon's entire procurement contracts. There are concerns that this is a program in trouble. We had a report on Bloomberg this week about potential cost increases and a delay in schedule. Is this a program in trouble? Well,
this is a program that shows some real signs of progress in performance, but also has some challenges, and we've not stepped aside from those challenges. We are working on the flight test program. 2 of the 3 flying variants are a little ahead of schedule, but the short takeoff and vertical landing aircraft is not ahead of schedule. It's behind schedule. We know why, and we have to improve the performance of that airplane. The software that's being written for the program is performing well when it's on board the aircraft, but it's going to take some more resources. So, as part of the Nunn-McCurdy recertification process, a technical baseline review was called for, which is a very thorough assessment of the entirety of the program, development and production. I think as we look at the production program, our cost estimates for factory production costs look to be somewhat favorable to early projections of what that cost would be. And I look at that as good news on the program. And in the development program, we have a couple of areas of stress that may need some more resources. So the technical baseline review that's in place now is intended to examine both of those segments of the program and allocate resources appropriately so that we can have a successful program.
Really quickly, just a couple of seconds left here in our live portion. Do you expect a production delay? On the Joint Strike Fighter, the conventional version, the 3 versions?
Well, what I see is the Congress evaluating the funding for the next production lot. We just signed up Lot 4, and our focus is on executing the production lots that we have.